Thank you for joining me today, mathematicians, as we look at more examples of derivatives. And so in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the derivative of x cubed plus 2 all times natural log of x. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to look at this and say, can I simplify this at all? And yes, I could distribute the natural log of x, but then I'm going to be left with an x cubed natural log of x to deal with anyway. So therefore, I think this is actually simpler as written, so I'm going to leave it as is. If you did distribute the natural log, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to work with this function. Now, because I can't simplify it at all, I want to say, okay, big picture what's going on here. And so as I look at this, what is the first thing that catches my eye? And the first thing that catches my eye is that I have a product of functions. That is, I have x cubed plus 2 times natural log of x. Now, when I say what's the first thing that catches your eye, I want to say from a broad view. Don't focus on any of the particulars or the specifics, just the broadest, most general thing that's going on. Because a lot of times when I say that, people will say, oh, the natural log is the first thing I see because it's scary. But the point is that that is a smaller piece of this than the whole thing. And so I want to do a broad perspective, and I'll worry about the scary parts later. They aren't going to be the ones that draw my attention to begin with. Now, with that said, because I do have a product of functions, that means that I'm going to have to use the product rule. So what was the product rule again? Well, the product rule says that if I take the derivative of a first function times a second function, I get second d first plus first d second. Now, I'm saying that because that's how I presented in class. If you'd like to see more on that, please check out the post on the product rule. But I'm going to keep doing that to make an association between the notes and the product rule so that I can memorize it faster. And it's just second d first plus first d second. And so now as I look at that, I notice that in order to find the derivative, I need to figure out what my first is, my second, the derivative of the first, and the derivative of the second. So as I look at this function, my first is x cubed plus 2. My second is natural log of x. The derivative of x cubed is, a power rule is 3x squared plus the derivative of 2 is 0. And the derivative of natural log of x is just 1 over x. So now that I've written down my first, my second, my first prime, and my second prime, I can come over here and I'm just going to plug those in accordingly. So what I need is second d first plus first d second. And so my second function is natural log of x. The derivative of the first is 3x squared plus, and then I'm going to put this down here because I ran out of room, but the first is x cubed plus 2 times the derivative of the second is 1 over x. And so what I get is that the derivative of my function is just natural log of x times 3x squared plus x cubed plus 2 all times 1 over x. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something and enjoyed the process. If you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It all helps to make sure that we can get this out to anyone else who needs calculus help.